Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Foliage. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So today I'll be talking about another variety of Monstera. Now if you tend to look at this plant, you won't even believe that this is a variety of Monstera. I will put up the name on the screen. Very unusual looking Monstera. Now guys, this plant does not have the fenestrations yet. It's a very young plant, but very soon it will get fenestrations like this Rhaphidophora pertusa. As you can see, they have these fenestrations. This plant will also get it. I will put the image on the screen how it tends to look like. Now it's an extremely easy to grow plant. You can grow it indoor. Mostly it's grown indoor, but you can even grow it outdoor. Now if you're growing it outdoor, you need to keep in mind certain things. But it's a very popular house plant. Oftentimes it's grown indoor. Just like any other Monstera, it tends to grow as an epiphyte, which means that it will latch onto other plants. You can see this is the aerial roots over here. So you can use a moss pole, a moss stick, or you can make the rope pole as well, and it will latch onto it because it's an epiphyte plant and it will start growing according to that. Now talking about the soil, it has to be loose, porous and well draining. It will do pretty much well in any type of soil. So as long as the soil is well draining and loose, the plant will do quite well. Talking about the light, it requires indirect bright light. Do not keep it in direct sunlight. Just like other Monsteras, they do not prefer direct sunlight, otherwise the leaves will get burnt. Remember, in nature they tend to grow under the canopy of other trees, other large trees, and they do not get that direct sunlight. They either get diffuse sunlight or they tend to get dappled sunlight, but not direct sunlight. So ensure that you keep it in either indirect bright light or medium indirect bright light, but do not expose it to direct sunlight, otherwise the leaves will get burnt. Talking about the pot size, they prefer a good pot size of around 8 anything above 8 inches. Now this is a small cutting, so that's why it is in a very small pot, but very soon I will transfer it into a bigger pot. So anything above 8 inches or bigger will work out really well because the plant tends to grow really huge. Now if you're growing it indoor, please do not keep it very close to the wall. Just like the other Monsteras, they will latch onto the wall, and it will, when you're trying to move the plant, it will peel out all the paint because the roots get really strong and they kind of stick to the wall. So if you are growing it indoor, ensure that you keep a little bit of distance from the wall, otherwise your wall will get destroyed because the roots will latch onto it and they will kind of get glued to the wall. So ensure that you do not keep it too close to the wall. Talking about temperature and humidity, now because they belong to the tropical environment, they prefer a little warmer climate and with a good amount of humidity. But they will do quite well in average humidity as well, which is present in our house, and the room temperature is going to be absolutely fine. But when you're growing it indoor, ensure that you keep it in a place where there is a good amount of indirect or medium indirect bright light, then the plant will do extremely well. If the plant does not get a lot of light, then the leaves will turn much darker in color, and probably the plant will not do quite well because they cannot tolerate very low light in an extended period. So ensure that the light is good and indirect and it is really bright, then the plant will do extremely well. Very soon this plant will also get those fenestrations, and that's when the plant looks absolutely beautiful. This is a very small juvenile plant, so it does not have those fenestrations yet, but very soon it will appear, and if that happens I will definitely keep you guys updated. So I'm not very sure when that's going to happen. Now talking about fertilizers, during spring or during summers, this is the time when you add fertilizers because the warmer months are the time when it's in its growing period. So at that period of time you can add any liquid based fertilizer, or you can give a little bit of compost, whatever tends to work out. I usually tend to use liquid based fertilizer because for my compost I get that liquid fertilizer which I tend to use for my plants. It's a very easy to grow plant. Now ideally pests are not much of an issue, but it's always better to do a routine check once a week or once in 2 weeks. Just turn the leaves and check if there are any white flies. If you tend to see anything, then you can go for any organic solution. Now talking about watering, whenever you see that the upper layer of the soil, around 2 to 3 inches of soil is dry, or you can just poke your finger into the soil, and if you feel that the soil is dry, you can go ahead and water it. They prefer slight moisture in the soil, so do not keep the soil dry for a very long time, otherwise the leaves will start to dry. The tips will also start to dry, so ensure that you do not keep them underwatered for a very long time. Talking about toxic, yes, this plant is toxic, so ensure that you keep it away from the reach of small children and pets. Propagation is very simple of this plant. Now, as I said, this was a cutting. You can see this was a cutting that I had got. So if you want to propagate this, you can see these aerial roots. These are the nodes. You can just cut it below the aerial roots, and then either you can put it in leca, you can put it in soil, or you can even put it in water for it to propagate. And as and when the roots start to become thicker, then you can move it into the soil if you are doing leca or water propagation. But usually what I tend to do is at times, if I'm quite lazy, I just cut it off and put it into the soil, and then it keeps growing. So I feel that is a much better option, because in leca and water propagation, you're supposed to change the water once every week to prevent any kind of bacterial infection. So the best option is do the cutting and just put it into the soil, and it will do its own work. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.